Hello and welcome to another edition of MassCAC Student Athlete Spotlight, where each week we highlight an amazing student athlete from around the conference. I'm Emily Liu, MassCAC Assistant Commissioner, and speaking with me today is Cassie Llewellyn of Mass Maritime Women's Lacrosse. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, as I mentioned, you are a women's lacrosse student athlete for Mass Maritime. So, can you share what got you into women's lacrosse? Maybe what your inspiration or who your inspiration was to start playing?
When I was younger, I always played a bunch of sports, softball, basketball. My dad really wanted me to push to be kind of an all-around athlete, and I also cheered for a while, but I wanted something a little bit more competitive that was kind of like how my brother would play football and other sports. And one of my family friends told me about lacrosse, and at the time it was only kind of men's lacrosse up until like think third grade. But once I was in fourth grade, they finally started women's lacrosse in my town. And I joined right away. And I was so excited. And I started doing travel teams. And then once I got to high school, I was on a travel team with Gold Coast Lacrosse and played all 3 years of high school because of senior year. We didn't have a season, but loved every minute of it and kind of really just wanted to continue it through college. And when Mass Maritime gave me that opportunity, I just took it.
Awesome. So, obviously, we know that Mass Maritime is a very unique
Mm-hmm.
university. Can you talk about what brought you there? It sounds like women's lacrosse did play a role, but what else was a drive to bring you to Mass Maritime?
Yes, I definitely knew I wanted to continue playing lacrosse just as an extra thing to do because I love the sport so much. But I kind of knew that I wanted to go to more of a maritime academy or a school that was not like your typical college experience. And that was mostly for the leadership that our school kind of instills in us and kind of helps us progress through each year that we're here. But mostly the main thing that I really wanted was the hands-on experience that our school really pushes for. And especially as an engineering student, I knew at a different school, it might not have been as hands-on, where we do have a ship that we go out on for 2 months and we do a lot of hands-on things. So that was kind of my big push, was knowing that I was going to a school where I was going to have the experience, like, and also get sent out into the real world, knowing that I've already seen some things before.
Oh, that's great. You definitely do get that very unique experience heading out on the ship
Mm-hmm.
during the spring semester. So that's very
Mm-hmm.
cool. Um, so switching back to the women's lacrosse focus, you recently hit the 100 draw control mark for your time with the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. So
Thank
what
you.
does that milestone mean to you? And maybe, what is a favorite memory that you've had so far as your time as a student athlete?
Um, well, honestly, I didn't even know it was kind of in that number range, but I just remember in high school, whenever I was first told to be put on the draw, I was so freaked out. And I kind of was so, I wasn't as confident going into like doing draw controls that I am now, but because it's more of like a 50-50, you either win it or lose it. But once you get past that point, you realize that it's a lot more than it's three people and like two of them are your teammates, and two of them, if they win it, you still win it just because you didn't get it. It's more of like kind of a nice team, like um quick like team like little bond right there that you have with like those two other girls that you're with in the draw circle. But kind of my favorite memory is just really just being able to have like certain moments with teammates and like seeing kind of like a play run out either um, during a game that you kind of were working hard on, or kind of just like a little thing that you just pick up out of the blue. I know like our last game, one of the girls, I like told her to cut through right after me, and like she ended up scoring a goal. And it was just like one of those little things that are just like, yes, like I did a little bit, but she got everything. And that's like the one thing that I love, is like having everyone throughout the team and kind of like seeing their joys. Cause one of the things I kind of live by is service above self. And that's like one thing that I just love seeing, like whenever other people have victories as well.
That's awesome and an extremely selfless motto to live by. So we love that.
Mhm.
So you have had some very unique experiences in your young life so far. Last summer, you made not your first, but your second trip to Uganda with Rotary International. Please just talk about that experience, how you got started, and what you got out of that amazing opportunity.
So the first time I went over to Uganda was in 2019, and I went with uh, the same group with Rotary International, but a little bit smaller than my second group that I came with this past summer. But the first group, it was kind of really special because it was the first time I really left the country and went kind of across the world to go and help. And I knew from a young age I always wanted to go over to Africa and help in like their community, just through novels I read and memoirs that I read. And with my dad being a Rotarian, it kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of follow in his footsteps to go see and do the great things that Rotary International really does. And this past summer, we went over and we went to one of the villages that we met with in 2019, and we were funding for a borehole well, which basically gives them access to water, clean water, and it gives it to them in a closer setting. So women don't have to go walk 6 hours a day to and from to get their water sources. So it gives women a whole other opportunity to have a business or to also go to school and get educated. And with that piece, we also helped build a latrine whenever we were there. Similar to what we did the first time as well, we were building a latrine and a house for people, but this time we got to do it at a school, which was very unique because we got to see the kids, we got to interact with the kids, and a lot of the kids haven't necessarily seen that many people like of my color. So it was nice to see them. They were so like amazed by my long hair and how, because for them, they typically cut their hair short because it's harder to take care whenever your hair is longer for them, and they don't have as many resources. And it was just very kind of a heartwarming and also kind of like a culture shock in the sense that you're meeting all these kids and they're just so like just crazy about like touching your hands, and it's a heartwarming feeling. And whenever you have to leave at the end of the day, it's not fun. But with that, we also went to hospital, Burundi Hospital, which is one of the two big hospitals in Uganda. And there we have been helping and sending money for a X-ray equipment, and a lot of times, which is kind of cool because it kind of relates back to the maritime industries. When we send things over in cargo containers, they actually keep the cargo containers as either they'll make it in for storage or they'll actually make buildings out of it at the hospital. So it's having multiple uses, and which is very neat to see. And we sent over a bunch of X-ray equipment, so we were going to see the all the things that we like kind of raised money for, and finally got it over there, which was pretty unique to see, especially going back to there's a nursing school at the hospital, which was just amazing to see. And my dad and his Rotary Club actually helped fund at least two girls in the nursing program, because majority of the people in the nursing program are males. So by having kind of an extra little push for females who might not have the money to go to nursing school, have that opportunity is just amazing. And we got to meet the people that we helped sponsor. So it's just kind of a great thing to finally actually see people that you're helping and they get to meet you as well. And it's definitely like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it was just phenomenal. And then after we kind of went over to Tanzania, and my dad, my brother, and then three of our family friends, we ended up climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, which was something I would have never thought I would do in my life. But when our family friend said that we should go do it, um, we were like, why not?
Oh my goodness, you
Yeah.
had a jam-packed trip, and I can't even imagine the impact that it had on you and
Mhm.
going forward in your life, and just being grateful for what you have, but also having that servant heart is amazing. So
Mhm.
thank you for doing that, and to your family for being a part of it too.
Mhm.
Um, Okay, well, I mean, you've done, you're still in
Mhm.
college and you've already done a ton, so this question seems kind of silly right now, but what are some of your other goals following graduation?
Definitely after graduation, I want to, um, for marine engineering, I would definitely want to ship out and kind of work on either a bulk carrier or a cargo ship. A lot of people kind of know those generic types of ships, but work on a ship like that and for a couple of years and definitely get all that experience, that engineering mindset behind, and a lot of the things that um, I did over in Uganda kind of brought more and more ideas to me, which I then kind of want to turn over and like later in my career, kind of start doing things like kind of working on municipal like waste development and developing companies and like try to have them to have access to kind of like the wastewater systems that we do have in the US and like all over, because some of their conditions it just kind of flows downstream, and that's never good and never healthy, and then more people then have to go to the hospital due to things and sicknesses, which is something I never want to see and don't really want to hear about. So I kind of got that idea whenever I was over there. And I also um, was asked whenever we went over to one of the borehole wells that we were help funding, and they kind of asked about my input on one of the pumps. And even though at that time I only went 2 years into school for engineering, I still was able to kind of give them input and kind of an idea of what they could do to help with their system to make it more efficient, which was something I never even thought of I would even be able to answer if you asked me back in 2019. But the fact that I was able to do that kind of pushed my even more want to go over and help and kind of help drill more wells and continue with everything.
That's awesome. So, all right, if you could trade places with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
um, I would definitely trade places with a woman. Kind of all relates back to Uganda, but has a very special place in my heart. But with Martha Hoffman, she is the founder of Call to Care Uganda, which is an organization that we worked with over in Uganda, and she is known as such a great asset to like the Ugandan government. They understand her and respect her so highly. Just kind of to see how her impacts, she's impacted thousands of people because she's drilled over 60 wells in Uganda, which really helps and saves countless lives that you wouldn't even think about. And just kind of see her kind of perspective of everything is just something I would love to see.
Oh, she sounds like an amazing person, so I can see why
Yes.
you would want to trade places with her. So, all right, so now we have a little bit of a get to know Cassie section, rapid fire questions. So, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, first one's an easy one. Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Duncan.
What's your go-to order there?
Just a iced coffee with salted caramel, black.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, ice cream, cake, or ice cream cake?
Ice cream, just ice cream.
Favorite place on campus?
um, Probably my room because I have a great view of the bay, but I also love the ship.
Go-to vacation spot.
um, Probably Mexico.
Very nice. Okay. Water or snow skiing?
Snow skiing.
Mass Maritime blue or gold?
Blue.
All right, Cassie, this has been wonderful getting to know you and hearing about the amazing things that you are doing. Keep up the
Mhm.
wonderful work. And stay tuned for another edition of MassCAC Student Athlete Spotlight next week.